Okay.
I think we're leaving.
All right.
All right,
Thank you.
you guys. Thank you. It's talking to you.
All right, everyone, did we survive our first virtual breakout room? Now we can relate with our kids and know that sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't go well. I have been on some calls with Mrs. Greer, the principal at Langley High School, and she has adopted a phrase that I love. Space and grace is what we're trying to give each other during these exciting and unprecedented and uncharted times. So please see our agenda for today up on your slide. We will review our virtual voting procedures so that we can take a look at a proposed bylaws amendment as well as the proposed 2020-2021 budget. We will have a quick membership report, and then we will turn to Mrs. Barrow for remarks from our principal. So welcome back to our new and returning families. The PTO is working closely with Mrs. Barrow and her admin team to reimagine how we will continue to serve our parents and teachers and students as we learn virtually, at least for the beginning of the year. In August, the PTO was able to help welcome back our teachers with a lunch as they drove through to pick up supplies. And then Vice President of Fundraising, Margaret Brown and Julie Ryan, were able to greet many of you at laptop distribution, where we were able to get Spiritware into the hands of many of our students so that they had a tangible connection to our Cooper community. With your membership fees and your donations and your volunteer hours, we will continue to provide programming and support in our virtual environment. I want to remind everyone that our PTO Executive Board is here to help you all with any questions or ideas that you may have. I'm Stephanie Stayen. I'm the parent of Drew Stayen, who is an 8th grader this year, and I'm serving as president. I am joined on our executive board by Melissa Schwartz, who is our vice president for membership, Margaret Brown, who is our vice president for fundraising. We've got Christina Talent as treasurer, Chelsea Lake returning as recording secretary, Brenda Beeland returning as corresponding secretary, and Seema Lohia Singh is our parliamentarian this year. Thank you guys all for being an amazing board. As we operate virtually for now, we will vote via the poll feature in Blackboard Collaborate. We will first review the proposed changes to the bylaws, which you all have had access to via the email that was sent out through News You Choose, as well as our Facebook page. They will take questions. We'll open up the chat for that. And then a poll will be pushed to you automatically where you can vote yes, no, or abstain. We'll do that for both the proposed bylaws changes and the proposed budget for the year. So just to make sure that we're clear on how to ask a question, on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, you will see the purple arrow. If you click on the purple arrow, type your question into the chat and then hit enter on your keyboard. It will be sent to the group and will be able to be addressed before we vote. So we have a proposed change to our bylaws that simply allows for us to hold virtual meetings, as may be necessitated by circumstances such as the one that we're in right now. You received, as I said, a copy of those proposed changes via News You Choose, and it was also posted to our website and our Facebook page. There are the meat of the change, basically that we will be able to hold a meeting virtually that will stand in for a regular meeting. We will have a virtual regular meeting. If capacity should become an issue, which as you can see right now, we're at about 56 attendees, and this platform can hold up to 500. So that should not be an issue. But if it does become an issue, we can live stream our meeting at the same time on Facebook and have that moderated by a member of our exec board, so that feedback that is gathered on Facebook with regards to questions and voting could be relayed to the main session as well. So with that, I would like to please ask Mr. Frengel to enable the chat to call for questions on the proposed changes for bylaws.
I believe it was already enabled.
We do not seem to have any questions at the moment. Bill Andrew has moved that we adopt the change. Julie Ryan is seconded.
Great, thank you all. Mr. Frankel, will you please push the poll so that we can vote on the proposed bylaws change?
It should
And
be
you're
on your.
free to vote now. Great. It looks like we have, I'll give it another minute. Thank you all. It appears that we have enough of a vote that we are able to approve the bylaws changes as they were presented. So thank you. I would like to turn it over to Christina Talent for a discussion of the budget.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Stephanie. I'm Christina Talent. I know some of you, I recognize a lot of the names on the list here, so hi everyone virtually. In previous years, we would have done this in person, but this is actually better for the budget so everyone can see the numbers on the screen. I'm going to be reviewing the proposed budget for this school year, the 2020/2021 school year for the Cooper PTO. What you see on the screen, I have 4 slides I'm going to go through. 3 of them are a breakout of the budget, and the 4th is just a summary slide. And I plan on really highlighting just the key changes from last year to this year, rather than going through each line item. But if there are questions, please let me know. On the left-hand side of the screen, what you're looking at is the first part of the budget. These are the line items in the budget. Then as you move to the right, last year's budget, then the actuals of what was spent, and then this year's proposed budget. So you can see under income, this first slide just reviews the income for the PTO. The first 2 line items, the donations and the membership numbers, that's where the PTO really gets the majority of their funding, and the money that we receive is obviously the money that we use for the school and to help the students and the teachers. So as you can see, your contributions are very important to the success of the school and for us being able to do things for the school and for the children and the teachers. So currently, based off of the actuals from last year to where we are today, we did reduce the numbers very slightly just based on the fact that we're virtual this year, and also just based on the fact that we do have slightly lower enrollment. For membership, we are estimating about $14,000 of income, and that's based off of 560 families donating for membership, and that would be out of, I believe we are at 950 families for enrollment now, so that's over half of the families really joining the PTO and participating. Let's see. I think everything else, that should be attainable based on last year's numbers, and everything else is pretty much staying constant from the budget last year to this year. Okay, so this slide I'm displaying is the summary of the operating expenses. I do have one other slide that covers our program expenses, so we do have quite a bit of expenses for PTO. The first line item increased $50, and that's just based off of the fact that we're virtual. So I think I'm anticipating needing to do a lot more electronically. So the cost will go up because we're charged by number of currencies deposited. Another change, if you go down to hospitality and staff appreciation, that was decreased slightly by, it was decreased not slightly, but by $1,300. And that's because we have a lot of events that at the beginning of the school year in particular that may not be happening in person, unfortunately, that we will not need the money for, but we still do have expenses area. And then the last item, PTO admin, went up $250, and that's to cover our online payment system that we just added at Cooper, which is Pay for School. And some of you may have already used it to purchase spiritware or to give your donations for the and membership for the PTO. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is the third slide out of 4 that I'm going to be reviewing. This one covers the program support expenses. The numbers really did stay constant except for 2 areas. One I want to review is the appropriations line item. You can see this is a really big number for the actuals that was spent last year, $47,000. And I just wanted to go through some of the things that we were able to purchase as a PTO board, as a school, excuse me, with support from the PTO. And this is stuff that would be above and beyond what the school was able to provide. We did purchase new science tables for all of the 7th grade. We purchased laptops, and then we provided staffing for a number of clubs and competitions at Cooper. So provided staffing for the robotics club, math competition, debate competitions, drama productions, and Model UN conferences. We also supported we put on 6 assemblies for Words Matter, and that was for kids and parents. We also replaced outdated science lab equipment and technology for our science classes, and we purchased water absorbent mats for our quad, which happens to be very expensive. So that's kind of, those are the big ticket items that we purchased last year and that we supported. So just as an idea of some of the things that your money would go towards, that's what we were able to do last year. And this year, you know, we would like to provide that same benefit to the school. The other line item on this slide that I wanted to review. Sorry, my 9th grader must have a break because he's running laps around my office. I'm getting distracted. The distance learning support line item, that's a brand new line item. And we added that this year just because we do expect some unforeseen expenses to come out in this area of virtual support, and we don't know exactly what they're going to be. I do know that I've already received an expense for the Virginia Readers books and the purchase of those ebooks, and that will come out of this distance learning support line item. Okay, so this is just a summary of the budget. We did increase it $4,000, and that's based on the additional line item that we had to add for virtual learning support. Additionally, the note at the bottom of the slide that we added, historically we do keep about a $20,000 balance in the bank account, and this is to cover our ongoing operating expenses that we incur. We also plan, Cooper's under renovation and will be under renovation, and we'd like to use the additional $7,400 towards furniture and landscaping and other expenses to support this school after the renovation. And I guess that's about it. Questions for me on the budget at all? I know that was a lot.
Mr. Frengel, if you could ensure that the chat is enabled, and if anyone has questions for Christina on the budget, feel free to ask them now.
The chat is enabled.
Seems that Christina did an excellent job since we have no questions.
Okay. Great. Stephanie, should we move to a vote?
So, yes, can we have a motion to vote?
I move that this is Melissa Schwartz.
Is there a motion to vote?
I move that we adopt the budget. Anyone want a second in the chat? Right,
There we
seconds.
go. All right, Mr. Frengel,
Okay.
could you please push, Mr. Frengel, the poll that will indicate whether or not you approve of the 2020-2021 Cooper PTO budget?
Yes.
And with those responses, we are able to confirm that the budget has been approved as presented.
Thank you, everyone.
And now we have Melissa Schwartz,
Hi, this is
Vice
Melissa.
President of Membership.
Hi, this is Melissa Schwartz. I am back at Cooper for my third and final time, unless the dog learns more from distance learning than I expect. So it has been a challenge with the membership this year, trying to reach out and making sure that everyone knows that the PTO is still relevant at Cooper, that as Christina mentioned and demonstrated through the budget process, there still is a need for the funds that come in from the membership and the donation process. It is a new normal. We're trying to make things as normal for the kids as possible. It's, as you can see, it is a challenge to have over 900 classrooms across the greater McLean, Great Falls area, but still try and make sure that everyone knows one Cooper. We're one community. And so I think the most important part of, and many of you, as I see who's logged in, have already joined and donated, but please make sure that everyone else that you know knows that we are still working to make sure that the Cooper community stays connected and informed about what's going on. Mrs. Barrow and the staff have been great, but they're focused on making sure that our students know what's going on. So, the PTO working closely with them to make sure that we're communicating that back out to our families and parents. The PTO is also the best place for you to be able to share your voice, and we're looking for great ideas, creativity. People know how to operate better than we do in this technological environment. And then, as you can see, we are trying to come up with creative ways through the budget to continue to support the students, the staff, the families at Cooper, and make sure that, we're ready to pivot when we go back to building, to the extent that some of these competitions and activities and clubs and assemblies can move online, that we're able to support those with working with the staff and the teachers at Cooper. So backing up, I'll move, sorry, this is my, So as of yesterday, and we've had a couple of people come in since yesterday, we have 268 families that have joined the PTO. That's slightly over half of our 560 goal, or no, it's slightly under half of our 560 goal. Then membership dues, we've gotten approximately 6,700, which is about 48% of that $14,000 goal that we're trying to reach to fully fund the budget, and about 23,000 in voluntary donations. And a number of those, we've had great success with our pay for school stuff option, so people can just go online, and I'm going to post the links to pay for school stuff as well as the instructions on how to create your own account in the chat once I'm finished with the presentation. Also, if your employer matches donations, please make sure to let us know that. You can email me, and I'll at membership@cooperpto.org, and I'll post that in the chat as well, because we're happy to get your whatever information that they need to make that happen. We do know a lot of people are facing financial challenges this year, so even if you're not able to provide a donation this year, we really would like to get 100%, more than that 560 number of our families participating, so that everybody still feels engaged and part of the community at Cooper. You should have received an orange flyer in your back to school packet from Cooper this year, but you can also go straight to pay for school stuff and not even worry about sending back that flyer. I can confirm that we are going to do A to Z hard copy directories this year. The extra directory copies is now an option. You can go on to pay for school stuff and purchase one there, as well as all of your spiritware needs, which the spiritware committee, while they were out in force at the laptop pickup, they will be back out for the school supply pickup days, which I believe are the 21st and 22nd of September. You can still order online, and they'll have those available for pickup on that day. The hot new fashion item, the Cooperware mask, is has been very popular this year, as you can expect. And let's see, as far as the directory is concerned, we are working with A to Z to get the verification emails out to everyone. Once you get those emails, we ask that you reply and confirm all of your information as soon as possible. And in addition, Stephanie mentioned at the beginning, we do still have volunteer needs. They look a little bit different this year. It's all very much in flux, but we will post those to the Cooper website as they become available, and I'll include the link to the Sign Up Genius that you can check periodically. If you just want to be on our go-to volunteer list so that we can send out direct emails as those opportunities come up, there will be a spot for that on the Sign Up Genius as well. So thank you. And if there's any questions, I think we can open up the chat for that.
The chat is open.
So Bonnie,
How can people pick up the spiritware that they've, okay.
no, okay, so Julie Ryan just replied, the people who have already ordered spiritware, they will be reaching, the spiritware committee will be reaching out to you.
Thank you, Melissa. Mrs. Barrow, welcome.
Hi, it's my turn. I'm so glad to see so many people turned out this morning. Thanks, Stephanie, thanks, Melissa, for that update, and Christina. I'm really glad to see that those bylaws were passed and the budget is set, and we certainly appreciate all the items that you're purchasing and supporting on behalf of our Cooper students. So thank you so much for that. So this morning, I just came in this session from the adolescent development and social emotional needs that Michelle St. Germain posted. It was a really good reminder in thinking about what our children need as they move into adolescence. And so I took a few things away from that. I probably just you're going to learn a little bit more about me shortly. I probably gave away an answer on something, but I hope you all had a successful first day with Schoology and your children were able to access online. You know, our phones did not ring off the hook. I joked in this session yesterday that we actually picked up the phone this morning to make sure it was still working. So the phone wasn't ringing this morning, which was pretty amazing. We appreciate all that you've done to help your children get ready, and are thankful to our staff for that too. So we're looking forward to a great year and hope that we get to see you in person at some point. We are in conversations at a county level about when and how we may phase in some students. So as soon as more information is available, we'll be in touch about that. So today, the PTO offered me an opportunity to share some information about Cooper, or maybe about myself. So I'm going to share a little bit more about myself with each of you. You know, I'm still consider myself new to Cooper. It's just been a little over a week. A week ago was 6 months. So I've just spent 6 months at Cooper. Feels like I've been here a lot longer, seeing that I walked into a pandemic, but I seem to know a lot more about virtual teaching than I ever thought I would before. And so but I'm going to open it up to Q&A, and sometimes I realize there's still a lot of things that I'm still learning about Cooper. So I brought someone with me today to help if we have some questions that I can't answer yet. Kelly Rankin should be with us today. She's our substance abuse prevention specialist. She's got some information to share with you. I just wanted to ground ourselves in Cooper's mission and vision and some of the goals that are in development so that you have an understanding of what we're continuing to work on at Cooper. And then we'll have an opportunity for some question and answer. So I did this in the one PTO meeting that we had in the spring. I changed my questions, and when you transfer this presentation into BBCU, sometimes the pictures and things move. So I apologize for the picture over the lettering, but I'm going to let you know what to do. And Daniel, Mr. Frangel, if you could push out a poll that has a 1, 2, or 3 on it, and I'm going to share with you 2 truths and a lie. So 2 of these things are true, and 1 is not true about myself. And so when Daniel pushes the poll out, you're going to select the lie. So I'm a morning person. My dog is 12, and my daughter is 3.5 years old. And I taught middle school special education. That's what it says underneath there. So Daniel's going to push out a poll. Which one do you think is the lie? And then I'll share you a little bit more about myself with each of you. And again, if you were listening, I probably just gave something away a little bit earlier, but it's just for fun. The results are coming in. Okay, so we'll close our poll. Majority of you were correct that number 2 is the lie. So I'll tell you a little bit more about those things. I am a morning person. I pour all my energy into my day. I get up, I hit the ground running. Literally, I was out at 5 a.m. running this morning. It was very humid out. I'm a pretty active person. I like to swim, bike, and run. And so through the pandemic, I've found ways to stay really active and ensure that I continue to pour my energy into activities. So sleep is also really important to me, so I go to bed really early. If you're the parent that's going to write me at 9 o'clock at night, I'm not going to see it until early the next morning. It's important that I get a really good night's sleep so that I can have the energy to support my own family and my family here at Cooper. So I strive to keep really, really great balance in life so that I can be a great mom and a great wife and a great couple. And you can see the picture right in the middle is my husband Sloan and my dog Ray. They are, and I didn't want to spoil it with a picture of my daughter because it would have ruined it. So I have her on the next slide. Didn't want to leave anybody out. But I wanted to, my dog is actually 3.5 and my daughter is 12. So she's just gone into 7th grade. We live in Arlington, so middle school, it's actually her 2nd year in middle school. APS had a different experience than FPS yesterday, And so she didn't actually make it into all of her classes. I'm hopeful that today goes much smoother for them and their technology. But I have to say, I was a little selfish as a principal yesterday. I really wanted it to go well in FCPS. So I was okay that hers wasn't as good as it could be. And I understand what that school was doing behind the scenes to make it happen. That would have been us too. So thankfully, yesterday we had some smooth sailing here at Cooper. The third one is I taught middle school special education. That is a true statement. Special education is in my background. I have a master's in special education. I was a middle school special education teacher, and then I was a department chair for the special ed program. And that was actually at Frost Middle School. And we had a deaf and hard of hearing program, which was really unique to our middle school, the only one in the county. And so I oversaw all the learning disabilities, the special education program for students with emotional disabilities, and the deaf and hard of hearing. So we had a really, really large special education population at Frost. It was a great experience. I went on to be an elementary, I went on middle school assistant principal for like 9 years. Then I was an elementary school assistant principal. And then I transitioned to an elementary principal. And I spent almost 5 years at Sleepy Hollow Elementary School in Falls Church. And then I transitioned to being a director in central office, overseeing special education. I'm overseeing professional development and leadership development for our current and aspiring leaders in the county. And then I put on so much professional development for leaders, and I left time green with envy, and that the principals were going back into their buildings to implement new practices, and they had all this new learning, and I just missed it so much. And when Cooper came open, a school like this isn't one that is to be missed, has a really, really strong reputation. And so here I am. I found myself at Cooper. So that's just a little bit about me that I wanted to share with all of you, since I am new, somewhat still new, and have not gotten to know all of you yet. But I am, my door's open to you. Please reach out anytime. Many of you may have received phone calls from me over the summer. If you emailed and I was able, I tried to pick up the phone to connect with folks personally. It's really important to me that I get to know all of you. So I want to thank you for your continued outreach, and I'll continue to be in touch with you. Here's my daughter. Just didn't want to leave her out since I put my husband on the other slide. This is her first day. I know everyone had their posts that look very different instead of being on the front step. A lot of kids were in their photos at their desks. So there is my daughter ready to go for her day yesterday, which was a little bit bumpy. Today's going to be a lot better. I'm certain of it. Wanted to just talk a little bit about what I've learned so far in the Cooper community. I know that multiple people mentioned it earlier about the tremendous support that the PTO provides our community. And I learned very quickly that when I ask for support, you come out in droves. And a few examples of that are, we have a partner elementary school, Pine Spring in Fairfax County, Title I school, and we asked them during the pandemic, the beginning, what they needed. And they felt as though they could benefit from children's books for their lending library. Well, we overwhelmed their lending library and sent potentially truckloads of books over. So at Cooper, we had boxes out front and they were filled, and we kept filling boxes and boxes with books. So the generosity in this community is amazing. And then when we had to unpack all of the lockers at Cooper and the PE lockers, it's about 2,000 in total, we asked for brown paper bags. And the amount of brown paper bags that came in is astounding. We continue to use those brown paper bags. We will find ways to continue to recycle them and make great use of them. So thank you for those. When we asked for help for laptop distribution, our parents came out and supported the pop-up store for Cooper Gear so that we could create a really great environment for our students to walk away feeling excited about school. And again, thank you for the time that you committed. There were many days, many hours, a lot of different weather to deal with as well, and you were all completely flexible, and we just appreciated that. I want to thank the PTO for the lunch that they provided to our staff. Typically, they would have provided a luncheon in our library. We knew we couldn't do that in this virtual environment, and so our PTO had ordered box lunches for our teachers, and our teachers came through in a drive-through fashion and picked up a box lunch and some items from us as a school to get started and kick off the year in a really positive way. So I just know that this community is incredibly generous and kind, and 100% on top of it. Thank you for all of the communication that you've had with me. I received a number of emails yesterday afternoon with deep appreciation to our staff, and I want to thank you for that, because that's a great way to end the day. We have a staff meeting today at 2:30 when your students finish their day. We're going to connect with our staff on, they will have gone through a full cycle with their students of periods 1 through 8, and we want to check in with them. So I'm going to be able to share some of those positive emails with them. So I thank you for that. I don't want to speak today without recognizing the power and strength of our administrative team at Cooper. We have our 2 assistant principals, Ms. McLaughlin, who came to Cooper just prior to me. I think she has a couple months on me. She also has hit the ground running. And then Mr. Rath, who is entering his 4th year as the assistant principal at Cooper. Our Director of Student Services, Mrs. Scabis, I give her and her counseling department tremendous shout outs for the work they did to create a schedule to open up our school year. We still prioritized our family and staff preferences despite opening online, so that when we do need to transition back, we won't skip a beat. We want to be ready at Cooper, and so our schedule is going to allow us to do that. Our school-based technology specialist is Heather Dorman. She is at the right now. She's in the Block 4 social emotional learning block. Our students have an opportunity to go out into more of an open campus and get support during their day from teachers. And so she was meeting a number of students who had some technical questions. And so she's with them. She's not with us this morning. But Courtney Durr, our instructional coach, is here today, and she can give a wave in the chat. She builds the capacity of our teachers to support their instructional practices in our classroom. And so our teachers are deeply embedded in collaborative communities. There she is. And she's going to help me when we open up the Q&A. And then when you get a copy of this, when Stephanie posts this, I just linked the Cooper departments and our staff members there. You can see which administrator is responsible for which department if you had an interest in reaching out to us for anything, and if you needed to find a staff member to contact. Our staff have been outstanding. I said to them, and I think I may have said this in a parent series recently, you know, you don't sleep for that first week before school starts because there's so much to do. You're so excited. You pack everything into that first week pack of pre-service. And now we had 3 weeks to prepare. And one would think that maybe we felt that things were spaced out and that there was a little more time on our side. Our staff hit the ground running, and I'm not sure they slept for 3 weeks straight to make sure that we were ready to go for the opening of school yesterday. And popping into a number of their classes, we have all of their links to get into the classrooms. We stopped in. You can, I'm sure many of your students saw us in and out. We stopped, we said hello and checked in, and all of the teachers were focused on connecting and building relationships with students. And that's going to be really, really important to us in these first few weeks in a virtual setting, because as you know, it's so difficult to build those relationships over the computer screen. So we're going to dig deeper to ensure that our students are connected to the staff. I want to turn it over. One of our extended staff members is Kelly Rankin. She's a substance abuse prevention specialist. And as you know, in middle school, our students do unfortunately test their limits, as you may have heard in Ms. St. Germain's message earlier today. And unfortunately, some of them do engage in alcohol and drug abuse. And so it's important to know who she is and give her an opportunity to introduce herself and share any information with you. So welcome, Kelly.
Hi, welcome everybody. Thank you for having me. So I've been with Fairfax County now. This is my 3rd year. So I'm assigned to the Langley pyramid, which means I have the high school and then on down the line. So my office is primarily at Langley when we're in school. So So my role has been primarily, the discipline aspect when, a student gets caught vaping or, maybe got drunk at a football game, something along those lines. And then I provide education to that student. So it's kind of shifted now that we're virtual, because the kids aren't in school to get caught. So, I do offer a non-discipline education as well. So, so parents, if you have any questions about, what are some of the warning signs, how would I know? If you suspect your student is maybe vaping or, smoking marijuana, I could do a individual session with them and some education on vaping and marijuana as well. So just, in my years of working in substance abuse, primarily with adults, the majority of them have said they started in 7th and 8th grade. So this is really where they get introduced to it. Some may say no thank you, and some may experiment. It's hard to say. So, please feel free to reach out to me. If I can answer any questions for you, I'd be happy to. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. And I'm putting an article that you shared with us out of Stanford University that parents can click on and read later that relates to vaping and COVID-19. And essentially the gist of this is that out of the number of young people that were tested for the virus that causes COVID-19, that the research found that those that vaped were 5 to 7 times more likely to be infected than those who did not use a form of an e-cigarette. So that's something important to note. This is something that we just need to keep on our radar and stay attuned to our students and what they're doing, how they're spending their money, who they're hanging out with, and ensuring that we're getting them support for this anytime they need it. So when you think about the 3 ways we sort of support children in school, it's from their academics, their behavior, and their wellness. Into that wellness piece. So thank you, Kelly, for supporting the Langley Pyramid, and we're happy you're with us. So if you have questions for Kelly, her contact information is there. You're welcome to reach out, and she is happy to support you. Just want to continue to ground ourselves in Cooper's vision and mission, and recognizing that while we're in a virtual environment, our focus has not changed at Cooper. We continue to maintain a focus on excellence. And even more so now than ever, I think that this pandemic has allowed our students another perspective and opportunity to develop and grow as that empathetic, responsible, respectful global citizen. Additionally, our teachers work they have very strong collaborative teams that they're working in with their departments and their curriculum areas. They meet weekly, sometimes daily right now, to connect around those academic, behavior, and social emotional needs that I had just mentioned, and ensure that we are providing supports for our students so that they are successful in school. And the time that they spend together leads to these meaningful learning experiences that come out in our classrooms. Essentially, the vision and mission of Cooper lead to our school improvement and innovation plan, which outline the strategies and actions that we take as a school to improve and continue to grow at Cooper. It results in professional development for our teachers and high quality learning experiences for your students. Some of those that I just wanted to highlight, so that if you're new to Cooper, who are we, right? What was our mission and vision, and what are we focused on? And in the past few years, there have been 3 main areas that Cooper is focused on prior to my arrival around creative and critical thinking skills, which are a portrait of a graduate attributes that FCPS has for all of our students. We've had a goal around closing the achievement gap. We've had a goal in caring culture, and this year we are moving in to add a goal around equity. So in regards to that critical and creative thinking skills, our students are going to engage in some introspective activities and self-assessments to evaluate the ways in which they find themselves in situations where they've had to think critically and creatively. And we will connect these to authentic performance-based assessments. Our teachers are going to start this in the coming months, and at times there's going to be that cross-curricular connection for them as well, so that we can help them make connections across content areas. Again, the closing the achievement gap goal is really focused on our most at-risk student Cooper, which happen to fall in our students with disabilities, specifically in the area of mathematics. But in regards to all students, we are engaging in data dialogues to talk about the needs of each student using data-informed dialogue with teams to prevent and intervene with students as needed. So our Mondays in this environment currently are asynchronous, and the schedule has allowed for our students to have some office hours. Students will also have an opportunity to check in with a teacher during that time. Some will be invited to an intervention session with their teacher that there'll be a specific focus on an area, a content area. And then we have that check and connect time mid-morning, which falls into that caring culture piece. In the afternoon on Mondays, our teachers are spending time working with one another as a result of that data to talk about how students are doing and identify ways in which we can specifically support them. So our teachers may reach out to you, our counselors may reach out and with an identified need and let you know how we plan to support that. And most of that, it's through what's called the multi-tiered systems of support, in which we go through short iterative cycles for improvement, and we gather data and evidence to look at how students are performing, and we continue to move through to grow and develop a specific skill. So that's kind of the focus of that Monday afternoon. Not all teachers will be in meetings every single time, but we will be unpacking student performance and bringing teachers in to talk about how we can support any student that has a need, and in those three areas of behavior, academic, and social emotional. Additionally, we have that caring culture goal. It's really about building connectedness with our students. And this goal specifically says that all students at Cooper will connect with an adult, can identify an adult with whom they connect with. Some things that we're doing this year is you'll notice that students have a block 4, that social emotional learning block is called Cooper Connects. Today they have their first lesson. It's about 30 minutes delivered. Our teams are creating those lessons. Some of them are going to be around executive functioning and getting them organized and prepared for learning for this fall. But as we move through the year, they're going to connect more to some of those social emotional components about caring for themselves, caring for others, and having time spent being able to spend time with a teacher. As I mentioned, that personal connection on Mondays, there is a Cooper Connects time that our students will be invited to in small groups. Our teachers are buddying up during that time, so there'll be 2 teachers and a small group of students on Mondays connecting regularly just to build those relationships outside of that classroom time. We know that the time our students are spending in the classroom is really focused on instruction, even though in an 80-minute block, there's a lot of independent work time, but our teachers may not be able to have that deeper level personal conversation with a student in that setting. And so that time on Mondays is going to allow our teachers to connect with students. They can do it through the office hours. They may invite students with their Cooper Connects buddy into that time, or set up another time during office hours after school during the week or during that block 4. Lastly, I wanted to emphasize our focus on equity. This is really a division-wide focus around supporting a welcoming and culturally responsive environment across the division, but ensuring that at Cooper, all of our families and our students feel valued, welcomed, and heard. And so I know that this has been, I've been partnering with Kim Greer since, we've had a lot of national events over the last 6 months, and Kim and I have just really aligned ourselves in thinking about the work of equity across our Langley pyramid and hoping to extend that K-12. And so our equity goals are going to be very much in alignment, and that will mean that the things that we're putting in front of our students are also aligned, because we know that any issues that Langley is having potentially may stem from some things that are happening at Cooper as well. And we don't want to turn a blind eye to that. We need to have some conversations and ensure and teach our students and give them opportunities to learn and share with one another, with and from, and build a welcoming and caring community to support our students. We did have a town hall, we also joined the Langley Town Hall, and we also had a student reflection this summer. The attendance in those was very small. We hope to expand that and hope that all of you will partner with us to open up that dialogue and have those conversations. You may have noticed at Cooper on the armor out front, we had for a number of months until we just transitioned into our orientation time that Black Lives Matter, and we can and will do better at Cooper. And we believe that is true and are really, really committed to that. So we have 2 equity leads at Cooper, and we're working through developing an equity team. And together we will complete an equity audit and identify some areas of growth and improvement at Cooper. And I hope that if you have an interest in this work and for the betterment of our students and our staff, that you will join me on this journey and partner and join the equity team. And we will together complete the equity audit and develop some strategies and actions as we have for our other school improvement and innovation goals. It's going to be really important to us. And additionally, I just want to say about that, our teams are, our school teams, our staff are engaging in professional development from the county and engaged in a lot of learning around how they can be looking at their own curriculum and the activities we're putting in front of our students. All of these things are going to hopefully lead to sort of a pyramid framework for the Langley Pyramid in supporting our students, ensuring that we have equitable outcomes for all students. So you will see from Ms. Greer and myself and some of our partnering elementary schools some goals that we have in the coming months that we're going to work together on. So that is kind of Cooper in a nutshell and our school improvement and innovation plan. And I think Ms. Stein is going to moderate some questions you may have for me.
The chat
Yes,
is now
Mr.
open.
Frengel, if you would open up. Great. Where can we find staff emails, Mrs. Barrow?
I'm going to link you to, I can link you to that right now easily. And thank you. See, Ms. Durr is with me and she works faster than the speed of light. Thank you, Ms. Durr, for copying and pasting that in there. And as we're waiting for those questions to come in, and I'm going to close that chat so it's not distracting, there were a few questions that came in. Stephanie had shared that she had put it out to the community to see what questions you may have had. And so a couple questions did come in and parents were wondering about, here were some of the themes, just how they network with other classmates. And I think that it's important, I just shared with you a little bit about that social emotional learning block. And that is a period of time where our students are not focused on an academic and do have an opportunity to get to know a smaller group of students. So we can leverage that during the school day to give our students that opportunity to engage with one another. And again, Mr. Frengel's on here, who is our after school program specialist, and maybe he'd like to make a plug for the after school program and the ways students can get involved. Mr. Frengel? I saw his little screen had a little cross through it at one point, so perhaps he's having technical difficulties, but stay tuned for information about our after school program. We will have 2 sessions after school starting later this fall, and our students will be able to participate in after school activities. Again, a great opportunity for them to connect with one another. And then there was a question from the parent community about how you support with one another and get to meet one another. That kind of led to the community builder that Stephanie put out there today. It's just an opportunity for you to introduce yourselves to one another, know that we're in it together. We're going to look for ways that we can create activities and ways we can come together. It is a unique environment, very different for all of us. And along those same lines, some questions around how do you celebrate the teachers and staff. So we've done some things such as the drive-throughs. We've put little bags together that have you're the highlight of my life, and put little treats together for our staff. But if you have ideas, we are all ears and eager to hear from you. I'll just keep talking about, in case you're wondering. Yes. Mm-hmm.
There was a question earlier about school supplies, and I think we might have thrown some parents off by mentioning the drive-through pickup. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. So right now, we are gaining the teachers that are ordering all of the supplies that they need. So if, for instance, if your child's in art, perhaps they are going to pick up a sketchbook. If they have the engineering course with I'm thinking of the last name.
Mr. Kosick.
Thank you, Mr. Kosick. Maybe you have to pick up a race car that your child's going to build at home. Our World Languages program is going to put together some materials for students to take home. So we are going to communicate out that there'll be a pickup available if you're in one of those courses and you need to pick a school supply up. Then on the 21st or 22nd, we're going to be available all day long to pick up those school supplies.
What updates do you have regarding the building renovation?
I wrote that down just before the meeting started. I thought that might come up. So the county employees that are working with us just had a pre-bid agenda with the contractors. And so they've got groups through today and tomorrow checking out our building in preparation to submit bids. So they're here socially. We made sure that they all signed in and they're socially distant and they have their masks on. But they are in our building today and tomorrow. So the bidding opens on September 16th. The board will award it on September 24th. And we believe it'll just take a few weeks for them to start their jackhammering and pulling our ceiling tiles. So that should happen right around the corner in early October. So we're ready. You're welcome. And just for those of you that, while we're waiting for some more questions, phase 1 of the Cooper renovation involves building a new wing, which is housed the L between the science wing and then the wing that has an upstairs at Cooper. There used to be trailers out there. They're no longer there. We now have South Manor out on another side. So the new wing is being built right there. And hopefully take just a year or under, if possible, if the construction can move faster, depending on the availability of materials and supplies and the labor. We understand that they will move as quickly as they can. The thing, Maddie, about it is that this first phase was not really going to impact students in the building necessarily anyhow. So it's just going to be a matter of speed at which they can work. But we do hope next to have some new students in it.
There's a question about the staff directory, and I think I saw the same thing at Langley as well. It's just you're only able to send a message as opposed to actually being given the staff email address. Is there anything that can be done to address that?
Let me look into that. And Bill, I will be back in touch, and Stephanie, I can share that out with a plan. If that's a countywide, if there's any issues against us posting all of those emails, I'll let you know. I do know that in Schoology, I don't know, Mr., if you want to pop in on this, but you can push out a message to your teacher through Schoology if you needed to get started with that. But it's not something that we're using 24/7.
Correct. And students can also email their teachers through their FCPS Gmail account. If they type in the last name, it'll auto-populate for them. So that's another way for students to connect with teachers. And as parents, you can get that first part of their name as well.
Gohar, with regards to your question about A to Z Connect, we have contacted them and they will be sending out the message for all parents to go in and verify their email addresses. So at that point, you'll be able to access it.
And sorry, Stephanie,
There is a question around, oh, go ahead.
No, this is Melissa. On the A to Z directory, there is a way for you to request access. If you do that, it'll show up, and we can grant access for you to go ahead and affirmatively verify your information before you get the email. It shows that the email will start the process for everyone else.
Do we know when we expect that to go out, Melissa?
We're working on figuring that out. It is tied somewhat to getting the information from the office, which I'm going to stop up there later. I can coordinate.
Thank you. Mrs. Barrow, do you see the question there from Mrs. Davis?
I do, absolutely. And Mr.
Regarding,
Are you able to link the infographic around what we put out to students around their dress or sort of that professional space that they're going to have for their learning? And if not, we can send it to Stephanie later. Great, thank you. And additionally, we have the ability to push out messages to students, to all of our students in email, both in Schoology and in email. And we're going to start sending out weekly messages. I was going to do a video to students regularly. And these are things that are great reminders for us to include. So we can include in our messages. That's no problem. And whether it comes in an email or we have multiple ways to do that. So kind of some PSAs in the coming weeks, but we also didn't want to overwhelm our students the last few days, knowing that we wanted them to have one-stop shopping, knowing to go into Schoology and where to find their courses. We didn't push out any visuals yet. I don't know what that is, Bill. The Blackboard virtual closing feature. Oh, okay. That's actually, I don't know anything about that. But you can put a lot of great backgrounds on. Oh, thank you, Courtney. If you click on this infographic, you'll see it just talks about workspace and appearance, checking students, making sure students check their email, staying informed with Schoology, sticking to a schedule, and then how to utilize their links in Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. This is a great thing that if you have a bulletin board up around your child's working space to print out and go over with them. All right, well, I'll stick around for a few more minutes, but what we typically do in our admin meetings when we feel as though we've exhausted our questions, we say the window is closing. And so the window is closing. Unless you have another question for me, you're welcome to raise your hand or pop it in the chat. We're here for you. Delighted to have you. And I'll turn it back over to Stephanie. Thanks for coming today.
Thank you, Mrs. Barrow, and thank you everyone for attending the first meeting. We're all learning as our students are, and as we work through this together, and so next time will be even better. Please join us next time for our next show membership meeting, October 7th at 7 p.m. And with regards to the equity pillar that Mrs. Barrow introduced today, we will be hearing from Alicia Hunter, who is our Region Equity and Cultural Responsiveness Specialist. And with that, I wish you all a great rest of the week, and we'll chat soon. Thanks so much.